Looking to start a church, business, or nonprofit organization in 2022? Do you need help forming an LLC, applying for a copyright or trademark, revising church laws, crafting a succession plan, or developing a compensation package for your pastor and staff? Contact the law office of Travell Travis, a Richmond-based legal boutique focused on the needs of pastors, entrepreneurs, creatives, and our community. Let's make your vision a reality in 2022. Visit TravellTravis.com. That's TRAVELL Travis.com. If you're concerned about the future of your organization when you step down, then where will the mantle fall? A biblical and legal guide to succession planning is a must-read for you. It delves into the scriptural and legal aspect of succession planning, characteristics of successors, the people, the process, church bylaws, common myths, even issues with nepotism. Where will the mantle fall? Written by Richmond's own attorney, Pastor Travell Travis, and available at Amazon.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mantle Mondays. I'm your host, Travell Travis, and we're so glad that you took time out of your schedule to join us tonight for a candid conversation with authors, entrepreneurs, leaders, and pastors. I invite you now to like, invite, share, tag, let someone know that Mantle Mondays is on the air. We're grateful tonight is our season finale of our second season, and we're excited about our guests, and we're excited also about our future of this broadcast. If you're viewing us live tonight on our Facebook and YouTube, as well as Twitter platforms, but also this interview will be replayed on the YLC TV network. And we're also excited to announce that we're also launching our podcast of Mantle Mondays that will start next month. So we have some exciting things in store for Mantle Mondays in this particular ministry. And so tonight for this season finale, I was trying to think of a way to introduce our guests. But once a generation, God raises up a leader that shifts the church forward. In particular, in the Black community, you think of Richard Allen, William Seymour, Thomas Dorsey, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Bishop Paul S. Morton, and even Kirk Franklin, and our guest tonight. I refer to him as the apostle to the millennials, bridging the gap between generations, denominations, and races. I met him 14 years ago, a young minister in college that was invited to come and speak at my first convention as youth president for the Way of the Cross Church, and he wrecked the place in a matter of minutes. I followed his life in ministry from Preach Hard in the Paint to the YLC Retreat and Conference, and now to Spirit and Truth Ministries. Although I'm a pastor and 10 years older than him, I will say this: I am assigned to his voice. And there's no other voice during the course of the week that I listen to more than his. Whether it's Spirit and Truth, whether it's his spontaneous live videos, whether it's master classes, or any of his products that he has to offer. If he's anywhere in Virginia and I can get to him, I'm going to make the effort to hear him live and in person. I'm grateful for the ministry, the gift, and the man. Our guest tonight for the season 2 finale of Mantle Mondays, the one and only Elder Mark Moore Jr.
Wow. Wait a minute. I wasn't ready for all of this.
But I love you, sir, man, and I respect you.
Wait a minute. I'm honored. I am beyond honored. What a joy it is to be able to be here with you and the Mantle Monday community. I am an absolute fan of everything that you do. You operate with such extreme excellence, and just the way your mind works, from the books to the insight to the advice you give, the counsel you provide. I'm absolutely grateful for you and honored to be a part of Mantle Monday tonight.
Well, thank you so much. Where are you in the world?
I am all the way across the country right now. I supposed to be in, couldn't get in yet, and so I am at a Starbucks right now because by any means, some people when they call, you can't miss that. So I am just grateful to be here with you, Bishop.
I'm start off with a softball question. You travel all over the country. You're in and out of airports.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an airport that you hate traveling to?
I got to see who's watching first. I have to be very careful. My attorney would advise me to be very careful how I answer that question. I know he would. It depends on the day. I think because I travel so much, it depends on the day. Like now, Houston is extremally hectic.
Okay.
It's fresh, so I'm gonna go with that one. Because then you got Bush, then you got Hobby. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston.
No offense, Houston. It's just the one that's fresh on his mind, the one he's experienced the most recently.
Yeah.
If someone was picking you up from the airport and wanted to take you out to eat, what is the one restaurant they should never take you to?
Oh man, this is a tough one because let me put you on. First of all, I'm not answering any questions until you all in these comments, especially on Facebook, y'all not sharing or tagging like I need you to. I can't go further until I see a few more of you. I see you, Angela. Always good to see you. I see Dana's here. Love you, Dana. I see Regina, Caleb. No, I didn't say Chicago. I'm going with Houston. I said, okay, yeah, Elder Grant, I see you all, but everybody needs to hit share and get some more people in here because I just feel like this is going to be a great conversation. Now, to your question, it's funny you would ask that because I've had a situation where I was in a particular city in Florida, and phenomenal people, extremely kind and gracious. And they had heard rumor that I'm a foodie. And so they are committed when I get there to wowing me and just knocking me off of my feet. And so we get there now. I'll be very transparent. This is Mantle Monday, so I'm not here to fluff and sugarcoat. Be very honest. Typically, when I land somewhere, because I'm always like now, I'm always going somewhere, always having to create something, always having to write something, always having to prepare for something, always having to get ready to go speak or whatever the case is. When I typically land, I want to go to the hotel, and I'm the king of Uber Eats, I'm the king of DoorDash, and I am definitely the undisputed champ of finding restaurants. I've got favorite restaurants in cities all over the country, and so I'm low maintenance. I'm a crock pot. You set me and forget me. Pick me up for church. Yeah, I'm not the one I need to go to this store that I need to. No, I'm fine. So I'm typically only going out to eat if it's a Bishop Travis and Lady Travis, somebody that I actually have a relationship with, and you kind of let your hair down and talk. But this particular time, they pick me up and they're just so happy that I'm here. And it's an honor to be invited because let me be clear, nobody has to invite you anywhere. Let's start there. But they said, we've got this seafood place we want to take you to. And I said, really? Now, I'm in a coastal city. I know that there are several great seafood restaurants here because I've been. So I said, well, you know what? That's fine. Let's go. So we're on our way. Bishop. We are on our way. And they're talking this place up. They're talking it up. And I'm, just anxious and I'm excited. And again, extremely kind, extremely gracious. And they talked about it so much. I'm dying to get to this seafood place, because I can get a chain anywhere. So I want, something local and locally sourced and organic and all of this. This is going to be great. So we're driving. It's a beautiful day. Sun's out, sunny Florida. And we turn into the parking lot of a Popeyes. So this is cool. Traffic's kind of bad. We're going to cut around and get to this seafood restaurant. And so we're driving around the Popeyes, and then we get in line at the Popeyes. I said, never mind. I know. I get it. No, here it is. We're going to grab some Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes. We're going to grab something and we're going to drop it off on our way to the seafood place. He's got a family, kids. I'm going to drop stuff off. Or maybe we're going to swing by the church, the youth doing something. We're going to drop some chicken tenders and chicken sandwiches off. Cool. So we're in line at the Popeyes, and he's just talking to him about the ministry, everything's going. And then he looks over and he says, man, they got these Cajun shrimp. You're gonna love them. So I'm sorry, I said, what? I said, yeah, that we're here. It's a special, limited time only. But the Cajun shrimp, you're gonna love them. You want red beans and rice, coleslaw? What you want? I said, give me the red beans and rice and the coleslaw. Sweet tea, please. Thank you. So I'm gonna have to go. Please, I've done that already. Don't take me to Popeyes. That's all. And if you're gonna take me to, I'm cool. If you're gonna take me to Popeyes, don't sell it as a
Did they not know it was a chain?
It's it's not Applebee's is a chain. Oh, Charlie's is a chain. This is Popeyes. This is a drive-through. I don't even think on the hierarchy. I don't even know if that's chain. That's drive-through. But I ate that Cajun shrimp, and ate that. So don't do that again, Dana. It's not funny. Lewis, it's not funny. Regina, Ariel, it's not funny. But yeah, so don't take me to Popeyes. I'm
That's something you need to use DoorDash at the middle of the night if that's what you choose to do so, but not
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man.
Let me shift to some of these questions. I got so many questions. I'm not gonna be able to get to all of them. But
okay.
you often say you love your job.
Yes, sir.
How would you describe your job? What is your job description?
That's a great question, Bishop. I think that the best answer I could give, the one that most immediately comes to mind, is a scripture that says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for He hath anointed me to preach the gospel, to preach good tidings to them that are lost." And I think that that's probably the best way I could describe what it is that I do. I think that my job at the end of the day is that I am a preacher of the gospel. Now, to go further, I think how we define preacher has changed, because I think that for a long time we have limited preacher to pulpit. We have made preacher synonymous with pulpit, when sometimes preacher means marketplace. Sometimes preacher means studio. Sometimes preacher means production. I think of it in these terms. If you see it as your responsibility to communicate, that's the word, to communicate the good news, however that comes out, whatever medium, whatever platform, I see that as my role. So, of course, that has a pulpit presentation, that has a production presentation, that has different ways that it comes out. But that's my job, to communicate the good news. That's what I see it as.
And I appreciate that answer, because my thinking was the complete opposite, that you're so much more than just a preacher. But then you swing it back around and say, no, when it's all said and done, that's who I am. I'm a preacher. Are you a preacherpreneur?
Well, according to the T-shirt, yes. Yeah, I think you can say that. Yes, sir. Just the ability. One of the things that I say to our team all the time is that we are a 5-talent group. One of my favorite, certainly most convicting biblical narratives is the parable that Jesus tells of the master who goes away and entrusts talents to his servants. To one he gives 1, to one he gives 2, to one he gives 5, and so forth. And the beauty of that passage in my mind is that it shows us that we're not supposed to manage whatever we've been trusted with. We're not supposed to maintain what we've been trusted with. We're supposed to multiply, because the first 2 hear him say, "Well done, good and faithful servant," which, that's the only time we see that expression in scripture. But the one that brought back the 1 talent, I always read it as the investor's mad because he lost his money. He didn't lose anything, Bishop. He gives him 1 to hold. I'm trusting you with this. I'm going away. He comes back, "Hey, let's get a report. What'd you guys do with what I gave you?" He takes that 1 and brings it back. So essentially what he did was he maintained. He managed. He didn't lose. but he didn't add, he didn't multiply, he didn't grow it. And so I think that, our job, our talent, or rather our task right through here should be to multiply whatever it is that we've been trusted with. And so I think that that's a thought, an idea that drives and fuels so much of what I do and how I try to do it, Bishop.
People look at you, they see your picture on flyers for major conferences. You have the largest Christian conference. You have presidential candidates. You're on CNN. You're itinerant. You're flying everywhere. You have your own studio, 50,000 subscribers, on YouTube. What is the hardest part in being more?
Well, let me first apologize for anything here. I am outside. It's not all saints around. So I don't know what you're going to hear.
You're good. You're good. You're fine. But they see the glitz and the glamour, of everything. And so, what is the hardest part of you being you each day?
Man, that's an exceptional question. And unfortunately, I'm not sure I have an equally exceptional answer. Mm-hmm. I think that the answer that I would give, Bishop, is that it's probably just the challenge to maintain. Mm-hmm. And I'm listening to how you framed it. And I really think my answer is hidden in the way you framed the question. The biggest challenge to being me is being me, mm-hmm. not getting lost in the trends or the waves, not getting swooped up in the excitement, mm-hmm. or the I'm sorry, just the I don't know. It's so. I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were saying how easy it is to become contaminated by the mm-hmm. environment. Mm-hmm. And I think that just that drive to stay pure and to stay focused and to stay committed, that's not easy. I mean, especially when you're walking by faith, mm-hmm. and you don't know how this is going to happen. You don't know how this is going to work out. You don't know how this is going to come together. Everything you're doing is uncharted, at least mm-hmm. for you. Not right. to say that, there's nothing new in the sun. But if I don't have someone that I can reach out and touch, it's mm-hmm. all faith. And so the downside, and I say this with all humility, I know I consider myself in some ways a trailblazer. Mm-hmm. And the Absolutely. Downside of being a trailblazer is you don't have no blueprint.
Right.
The downside, the difficult thing about being a trailblazer, there's no right. path to follow because you're charting right. it. You're right. drawing it. So that's my thing. Just being able to keep trusting, mm-hmm. being able to keep believing, even when I can't see.
So the higher you go, have you found yourself having to be more intentional about doing things to make sure you do stay grounded? Or is there certain places you go or certain things you do to kind of recalibrate?
Yeah, one of the benefits I think is I'm a PK. And so not just the PK, and this,
right.
you understand this. I'm a PK of a very smaller ministry. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that with any sadness or any, I don't apologize for that. I don't say that as a negative thing. I'm gonna have to move. This is having a whole episode over here. I'm gonna have to move away. I don't know what y'all can hear. She was going off on somebody that only she can see. And so I'm going to walk away because I don't need the saints to hear what she was going through over there. I have on everybody's. I don't know if y'all can hear her. I hope not, because she's having a bad day. Okay, thank you, Jesus. All right. So to answer your question, I'm a PK at a small church. And I say that with all love and respect. That's not a knock. But I say that because you don't need a lot of help staying humble. I'm just be very honest with you. It's easy to stay humble when you got thousands of people standing when you walk in the room at your conference, and the Secret Service is here, and they gave you a key to the city, and they named a day after you. Yeah, they did, but I got a vacuum Sunday morning. This chariot. This chair's gonna turn back into a pumpkin at midnight.
Right.
I'm grateful for the community that keeps me grounded. I'm grateful for my family. And this is why it's so important. Not even trying to be deep or spooky, but this is why it's so important to have a pastor, a real pastor, not just a endorser, not just a fan, but you need somebody that loves you, but they're not so impressed by you. Hello, somebody, that they're scared to confront you, or they're scared to correct you, or they're scared to tell you, hey, now, I know you're great. I know you're a star. You're wonderful, but you need to work on this. You're great, super talented, proud of you, but you need to get this together, or what's going on here? So those are the kinds of things. And I think really the best way to sum that up, Bishop, is just one word, and that word is accountability.
Right.
That's the secret. That's the answer. That's the solution. That's what keeps you grounded when it would be easy to kind of get lost in the sauce, lost, drunk on your own supply, high on your own supply, as they say, reading your own breast. You gotta have people, Bishop, that will keep you accountable. It is necessary.
And I saw that even, I think this week, Bishop Jakes was at his convocation under, I believe, Bishop Watkins. And when he's there, he's just the vice bishop. I mean, he's just one of the pastors in the Reformation. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're bigger than all of this, but yet you submit to your roots and your foundation. And I said, if he can do that, I think all of us can take lessons from that example, that you don't outgrow, as you say, your father. You don't outgrow your foundation. You might add to your ministry, but that foundation, that's that anchor that gives you that calibration that you need. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, you're an itinerant preacher, evangelist. It's not like you're on salary necessarily to have to clock in at a certain time.
Right.
You pretty much do as you want to do as the Lord leads you. But my question is, and I'm going to let you answer both ways. What makes you get up each day to say, let's do this? And then on the flip side, describe a day or a moment when you get up and it's like, man, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Or do you have those days?
I'll start at the back and work forward. The short answer is yes. Yes. I would argue that anybody that has never had serious conversation about quitting, anyone rather, that has never had, I'm not talking about thought crossed my mind. No, you wrote out a plan. You got the classifieds out. You Googled salaries. I got a degree. I can do something. Anybody that hasn't done that has not really given themselves or committed themselves fully to something bigger than them.
Right.
Because as a visionary, as someone that's entrepreneurial, there's always, I'll say, at least the illusion of safety or the illusion of security in something that's more traditional or stable.
Right.
And you haven't really done entrepreneurship until you've felt as if this is it. It's over. Well, I got to do something else. And that's when your faith, that's when your drive, your determination, your intellect, your ingenuity, that's when all of that comes to light in a whole new way. But to the first part of the question, what gets me up in the morning? It's this lady named Sally Mae that calls, texts, emails, DMs, whatever other platform,
Yes.
And that's one thing. Second thing is my car drinks a lot of gas. Third thing, I like to eat, not just Popeyes neither. So the Bible says, if a man doesn't work, that man doesn't eat. And so the part of the answer is just that innate manhood. A man has to contribute. A man has to, provide and take care of, and so forth and so on. But then the other side is just the reminder and the fact that I know that there's something I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I have to do, not from the standpoint of just, I got to meet that. No. There's something bigger that I have to do. There's a contribution I have to make. There's a legacy I have to leave. I've been blessed to inherit the legacy, and certainly that's a blessing, but it's also a push. It's also a reminder that, wait a minute, one of these days, I got to leave one of these.
Right.
I'm grateful. I'm only what I am. I am what I am only because of the shoulders I stand on and the lines of the lines have fallen me in pleasant places. But what's my son gonna talk about? I rave about my father and what he's done for me. I rave about my grandfathers and the platforms they built and the shoulders that they allow me to stand. But what if the Lord delays is coming? What are my grandchildren going to say?
Right.
Are they going to say my granddad had great grandfathers? Are they going to look at me and say, man, my grandfather, he really had some really good parents? Well, yeah, I did, but that's all I didn't add to it. Scripture comes to mind, to add thou to it.
Right.
What am I going to tack on to this at the end of the day? So that's what keeps me pressing, Bishop.
You're a phenomenal leader. Your work speaks for itself. The fruit is there. No one has to question, your leadership ability and what you've been able to do in terms of seeing it and it coming to pass. Whatever God drops in your spirit, you put together the plan and God makes it happen. What aspects of leadership do you find the most easy or natural? And what aspects of being a leader do you find a challenge or you find yourself having to, be more intentional on working on?
Great question, Bishop. Again, I think, personally speaking, the easiest part is the fun part. And for most of us, the fun part is on stage.
Okay.
The fun part is dealing with the people. The fun part is shaking hands and kissing babies, right? That's the fun part.
Right.
The fun part, I go this far, is the vision cast and the, we're going to do this and we're going to create a this and we're going to have a this. And I want to map this out this way. And da, 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 da. That's the fun part. That's the easy part. But the easy part is only possible because of success with the hard part.
Right.
And the hard part is, for me, fundraising. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
But you're natural. You're gifted.
No. Here's the truth of it. The truth of it is, because of extreme favor and just the grace of God, he's given enough testimonies that I can point to and say, hey, this is what he did. This is what he did. This is what he did. So that facilitates, that kind of makes it doable, but it's hard because at the end of the day, I'm in a position where it's just me, right? I'm not, for example, using like the conference, and those of you in the audience, some of you'll understand and some of you won't. I don't have jurisdictions and councils and regional leaders. I don't have sons and daughters. I don't have churches under me. It's me. And of course, I'm not minimizing the amazing community. I'm not minimizing the favor of God when I say it's me. I mean, it's me as far as being responsible.
Right.
If I don't get out here and convince people, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And so that requires so much faith. That requires so much. Just I can't get away from faith, because it looks easy, and I take that as a compliment. Thank you. It looks easy, but it's not. Is anybody going to respond? Are they going to comply? Are they going to agree? Are they going to sign up? Are they going to purchase? Are they going to ABC 1, 2, 3?
Mhm.
It's never ending, and it's hard because it's all faith. No, the for example, the reason I said that on stage stuff is easy and fun is
Mhm.
because I'll be honest, that doesn't require as much faith.
Right. Yeah.
I am confident because to God be the glory. But
Mhm.
I have a degree of confidence in
Right.
myself.
Right.
I can get on that stage, on that
Right.
platform.
Right.
I'm a church kid. I can do something to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can get through. I have
Right.
some confidence in me. But the fundraising and the raising capital and the
Mhm.
leading, the administrative parts, that's if God doesn't do it, it's not going to be done.
Right.
And so I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, Bishop.
I've looked at your life. As I've said in the introduction, you were, I think, just finished a sophomore year at Morehouse, and someone suggested you, and I said, hey, let's bring him in for the teen service. And like you said,
Yes, sir.
you've left your mark, and I've seen over the 14 years how God has blessed you in your ministry. My question is, and I want to make sure I say it correctly and not in a negative way, but do you know where you're going, or are you just enjoying the journey right now?
Bishop,
Like,
that's
do
a
you know
phenomenal
where this is
question.
taking you? Do you know where this, or you just, what, God, wherever you want to take me, I'm just down for the ride.
I would be dishonest, just to be to be very honest. I would be dishonest if I told you, "Oh yeah, I got it all
Mm,
figured out."
mm,
I don't. I have no idea. What I know is that I'm at least trying to be surrendered
mhm,
and trying to just stay in the flow, Bishop, just stay in the vein, and just really, really trying to keep a yes.
mhm,
Because I think that I had to remember, we all had to remember that the steps of a good man are ordered
mhm.
by the Lord. And if I trust him with my steps, then I can trust him with the destination. And so my goal is just to keep my ear to the ground
Right,
and really, well, that's the more secular expression. My goal is really keep my ear to God's mouth.
right,
What are you saying? What are you doing? Sometimes, I think he leads by what he provides.
mhm,
Sometimes I think he leads by what he withholds.
right,
And, you know, that's the biggest thing for me, just trying to stay in his flow. Because if I start getting into I want to do this, so and so's
mhm,
doing that, then my problem is I'm afraid I'll step out of that grace that I've been operating with. And everything, please be clear, everything all the little stuff I'm doing is because of nothing but
right,
the grace that he's allowed me to walk in. And
right.
so the grace is connected to obedience. And so that's just why I don't know what's that. I mean, I'll put it in this term or in this light. I had no idea I was going to be doing a studio.
Right, right,
I had no idea.
right,
I'm a church boy that started having conferences, and I could kind of explain that because I
mhm,
come from
right,
presiding bishops
right,
and major leaders. My mom was an event planner. I
right,
watched her organize my grandfather's conventions all of my life. My
mhm,
dad, senior pastor, I've watched him host conferences and conventions and revivals and all these things. So I can kind of make sense of that. But I don't come from production.
right.
I don't know how to do this. This is all him. And so if I keep listening to him, my only prayer is, Lord, just I'll keep saying yes if you keep speaking.
And that's what I admire about you. I think I've said it. You are definitely a water walker. You're definitely a Noah, hearing the voice of God to build an ark when there's never been rain, to build something that has never been done before. And so we lift you up in prayer constantly because, as you said, you're doing what God tells you, and you don't know when He might, was it the pillar of fire, cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night?
That's good.
You
That's
don't
good.
know when
It
He's going to tell you
moves.
to move, where to go.
Yep.
But we're behind you, and we trust you that where God leads you, we want to support you, and we believe in what you're doing. You mentioned your ear to the mouth of God. One of the things that I admire and amazes me so much about you is that you have Spirit of Truth. You're preaching 3 times a Sunday, plus Bible class, or even now extra service. You have your itinerant preaching, plus you have your master classes, conference in a click, digital ministry blueprint. You're running, the conference, the studio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you manage to find time to hear from God? Because so many people, when they get to your level with your schedule, it's almost as if they don't have. I listen to you preach. Today, on Mondays, I binge watch the 3 services from Sunday. I know God speaks to you. I know he gives you fresh bread, fresh revelation, that it requires intense time with God, but you're all over the country.
Yes, sir.
So how do you manage to have that time with God to get those downloads and marching orders to go forward?
Well, to full disclosure, I would be less than honest if I presented it as something that's easy. But if you're committed to it and if you're systematic, it works. So, for example, it doesn't matter where I am, Atlanta, Houston, Detroit, Baltimore, Seattle, doesn't matter where I am. I got to wake up
Mhm,
somewhere. I got to go to sleep
mhm,
somewhere. What I do between those 2 points is up to me. So, yeah, I
mhm,
have to get to a plane. Yeah, I have to stand and preach. Yes, I have to do an interview, whatever. But I determine what time I get up.
mhm.
I determine what time I go to bed. And I determine what the non-negotiables are in that day. And
Okay.
so for me, I've been trying to be disciplined about starting my day and giving the front end of my day to God. I live in Atlanta, and you know about Atlanta. There's always a commute. There's
Mhm,
always some traffic. So how
mhm,
can I maximize this time? Okay, I got it. I can be listening to my Bible. I can be listening to a devotional. I can be listening to da 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 da. I can be waiting on a meeting. I can get some reading or some studying. And then again, that prayer time, that's got to be non-negotiable for all of us. Whether you do yours at the top of the day, end of the day, if you take a lunch break, whatever. It's just about being intentional about getting it. Some
okay.
people they can understand it if we talk about it like the gym. So
Mhm,
some people rain, snow, sleet, hail, fire, tornado, earthquake, hurricane. I got to get my steps in. I got to get my miles in. I got to get my jog in. Whatever it is, they're religious about it. I know we made religion for whatever reason a bad word, but I think it's that same kind of commitment and consistency that we just have to be intentional. That's all.
because most people, when I look at, aren't both. You are still very itinerant. You traveling, in and out of cities throughout the week, but most itinerant preachers aren't preaching 3 times a day on Sunday and having
Yeah.
a Bible class and having something new and fresh to the world to see. And so I'm always amazed, how God is able to whether it's a message he gives you on the airplane or the train or the car, the fact, or even with the studio and recording, you have to have
Yes.
a month's worth of sermons for that two
Every
days,
2 weeks.
whatever day for recording.
Every 2 weeks. Yeah.
So how do you even get your sermons? Is it you just read and as God drops stuff in your spirit? Or are you saying, okay, I need to come up, God, with 8 sermons by next week? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. I don't know. No, in seriousness, I think it's just always being open, always never being off in a sense. I'm walking
Hmm.
to the airport looking and thinking and connecting dots and, just trying to hear him speak through in everything. And then the biggest thing is, this is where that personal devotion comes in, because I don't want to fall into the trap of just studying to preach.
Right.
I need to be studying to live, and
Right.
then preaching from my overflow. What is God saying to me about me?
Mm-hmm.
And then, recognizing that if I'm assigned to my generation, and if he's saying it to me, maybe it's for me, but not just for me. Maybe there's a lesson here that I need to share, and just being open, Bishop. That's it.
My next question, yesterday you preached a message entitled Unmoved. You talk about finding something worth dying for. And you talked about Paul in his ministry. And some have said Paul maybe rushed his time because he was like, I have to go to Caesar. I gotta go to Rome, when others were saying, slow down, don't go, don't do this. Do you believe that preachers, this kind of get into the Mantle Monday succession planning, do you believe we as preachers can actually rush our time? Or do you think our time is predetermined? There's nothing we can do to shorten or extend our time?
No, I absolutely think. I think in choice is such a buzzword right now for so many reasons in our country. But I fully believe that God gives us choice. And I fully believe that I have set before you an open door.
Mm-hmm.
He does not say, I have set you in such and such a room.
Mm-hmm.
I set before you a door.
Mm-hmm.
What does that indicate? That indicates a choice. You can walk through it.
Right.
You can walk away. You can close the door. But God, I set the door there. What are you going to do about it? So I think we can absolutely mess up, ruin, destroy, hinder, delay, whatever synonym you want to use. We can absolutely slow ourselves down. We can move too fast. We can leave too soon. I think about Elijah at the brook. God tells him, go to Cherith. I have commanded the ravens to sustain your features there. Well, what happens if he doesn't go there? He's going to be crying and praying, God, send me somebody. God said, I did. I sent it to the place you're supposed to be. So you could delay your destiny. You can abort it. You can slow it down. I think about like Samson. And if I have to jump devices because of the battery, I'm not going away. So if I go out for a second, I'll be right back in. But Samson, we've heard him preached forever. And to me, it's such a tragic story because even when we try to make it a shout, make it kill more people in his death than he could have. That's not something to shout about. He died.
Right.
He died way too soon. How many? He killed more people in his death than he had killed up until that point in his life.
Right.
But that's because his life ended.
Right.
How many more people? How many more victories? How many more battles?
That's good.
Could he have if he would have stayed alive? And so I think that we can absolutely mess it, absolutely blow it, absolutely ruin it. And that's why we have to stay sensitive. That's why we have to stay open. Yep. That's why we have to stay open. And we'll be right back after these short announcements.
We got you back? Okay.
Look at that. Look at
that. It's easier to master.
Hold on. Let me hook these speakers up, or these AirPods up.
Well, while he's doing that, we invite you to like, invite, share, tag. Let someone know that Mantle Mondays is on the air with our season 2 finale with our guest tonight, Elder Mark Moore Jr. He's dropping knowledge. And if there's questions that you may have for him, we invite you to put those questions in the comment so that you may be able to ask those questions. He's open tonight to share, to impart, to take your questions. And so once again, we thank God for Elder Moore being with us tonight. You good, sir?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you good. We hear you good. So my follow-up question then, you mentioned the points of being grounded. You mentioned the importance of having that devotional time. and we talked about preachers rushing their time, if you will.
Right.
How do you personally manage self-care from a physical, spiritual, and mental standpoint?
Skip. I'm you you gonna get hate mail if I talk about this. I am not the one. I'm not even gonna set you up like that, Bishop. Next question. Next question.
Okay, we're gonna pray for the man of God on his self.
I got to do better because I'm saying this with the caveat that I know this isn't right. I know this isn't the correct. I know y'all keep telling me, but I'm very much in a work while it's day kind of mode, kind of mood, kind of setting, kind of season, because I don't know how long my day is. And so I know I have to do, I know, I got to do better. This is not the best way. This is not, I know, but it is what it is. I would love to I turn my phone off at 6 p.m. and I go get a massage every Tuesday and Thursday. No, I'm going. Said I can't go no more. So I know it's got to change, but
now, a couple of years ago, you did the road trip. Have you set aside a vacation for this summer?
No, okay. The road trip happened because the world was shut down. That's you give me another global shutdown, I'll give you another road trip. How about that? Wasn't no studio, wasn't no preaching, wasn't no services, wasn't no nothing. I got in the car and drove from Atlanta. I literally, no, this is a true story. I literally just woke up one day and everything shut down. I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I've never been able to do before and just go with no agenda. So I got up, packed a bag with a few little necessities, few little clothes, and went to the airport and rented a car. And I said, I want a car with unlimited mileage. They said, okay, cool. Where are you going? I don't know. Unlimited mileage. And
they're going to change the contract because of you after that trip.
I got in the rental car at the airport, got on 20 West and just started driving. I have nowhere to go. I have no agenda. So let me just see what I see. I drove from Atlanta through Alabama, through Mississippi, through Louisiana, through Texas, through Arizona, through New Mexico, up through Colorado, up through Wyoming. No, up through Montana. No, I didn't. Colorado. Then I went to Wyoming. Then I went through down to Utah. Then I had another meeting I had to get to at the funeral or something, I think, and I had to get back. And I was like, wait, I can't drive back in 2 days. So I had to stop at the airport and just fly back to Atlanta. But I had I was moving.
Wow.
Just moving.
In this social media era, you're faced with something that previous generation, previous preachers haven't had to deal with. You're very accessible, probably at times too accessible.
Yeah.
Anybody can slide in your DM. Anybody can inbox you. Sometimes you even welcome, hey, hit me up, on social media. How do you set boundaries and how do you manage access and accessibility?
Man, that's a phenomenal. You're killing this. This is something that I'm learning now. And I want to first say, I think that and I'm not the only one, but I owe some of these voices an apology because from a distance, I thought they were just arrogant.
Right.
I thought they were just aloof. But what I've discovered is sometimes it's not arrogance, it's anxiety. It's hard for me to just open up and be, because number one, who sent you?
Right.
Two, who are you? Are you really who you say you are? What do you want? Is this a phishing scam? Is this, because I don't mean any disrespect, but some people are off. People are off.
Right. Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And I certainly don't mean, I'm certainly not intending to make light or to minimize or to attack anyone or to downplay mental illness or anything of that nature, but the higher that profile goes, or the higher the visibility, the higher the distribution, you attract all kind of things, and sometimes it's for lack of a better term, it's dangerous. And so I'm really trying to learn how to do that, and I think it's just really a balancing act between, kind, cordial, and still a degree of guardedness. I think that has to be something that we're intentional about. Access within parameters, and then access to certain areas. It's crazy because some people, Bishop, they'll watch you online and they'll feel like they know you.
Right.
Like, no. I know him. We never had a conversation. We've never been in the same room, but I know you. I commented on your post and you liked my comment. We're friends now. Not necessarily. That's not what that means. So just really the wisdom is the principal thing. So just trying to use wisdom and be discerning. Because a lot of people come with an agenda, and the danger is becoming jaded to where you're looking at everybody suspiciously, and everybody gets a side eye. No, the balance is you're here for the people. You're a people person. You're in the people business. And so you can't do that and not serve, not talk to, not communicate with people. If you look at the ministry of Jesus, challenged people followed him. Oppressed people followed him. Unstable people followed him. And he said, well, yeah, of course they do. I didn't come for those that are healthy. He said the well don't need a physician. This is what I'm here for. You know what I mean? So it's balancing that and keeping it in priority and remembering I'm here for this. I'm here for them. While also maintaining enough boundary and distance to not become common too. Because sometimes the danger, Bishop, honestly, the danger is not an assassin. The greater threat is your voice becoming common. That's the greater threat. I'm not, I know we have our security measures and our security protocol, and I understand. I'm not minimizing that, but the greater danger is my voice becoming common. So when I speak, all you hear is Mark, all you hear, oh, that's just Mark. No, when I speak, I need you to hear, no, that's a man of God. And I think that commonness is one of the greatest dangers of too much accessibility and openness, quite honestly.
In your answer, you actually leading me to my next two questions, but I'm going to separate them. You mentioned about being guarded. Is there a way to be guarded but not gated when it comes to adding people to your team?
Yes. And the answer is in one word: time.
Okay.
I think that time is the great, time really ought to be over our HR departments. Because I think that guardedness, or remaining guarded without being gated, that comes when you evaluate who's here, who's working, who's serving, and who's willing to put the time in. Anybody can put up a good front, put up a good show for a moment, for a season. But who's here and willing to put the time in even before there's a title, there's a check, there's a position, things of that nature. I think it has to be that time piece. That's the biggest thing for me.
Because the person's true colors is eventually in motives.
It's going to come out. It's going to come out in time. It's going to come out in time.
So the key is don't promote people too fast.
No, my thing has long been who's doing the work. Without the everybody, let's stand for our international whatever. Who's just doing the work? Those are the people that qualify for and deserve the titles and the promotions and all of these kinds of things. So that's my thing. Let time take its place. Let time do vetting.
I like that. So going back to the question about guarded versus gated, and even time will tell, and access, and especially on social media, how do you manage people who always want to give you their 2 cents, but never want to contribute a dime to support?
Ooh, you try this. You should have sent this question with a trigger warning, because that is a pet peeve, and I sum it up like this. I firmly believe that you should not receive their input if you haven't received their investment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The end of discussion. I don't want your input if I don't have your investment, if I don't have your involvement, if I don't have your where's your skin in the game?
Right.
And it's so easy to sit on the outside and what you ought to do. Well, what I ought to do, I don't need to hear what I need to do. I need to do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we says, I'm in this with you. If it doesn't work, I'm on the ship. And if we go down, we all go down. But I don't want to hear, Angela said in the comment, investment facilitates input.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to what you have to say. Even here's the truth of the matter. I've listened to people, and there's some people in our team and in our life that always will be able to say ABC 1, 2, 3. I don't think you should do this. I think you should do that. Because at the end of the day, even if I don't agree with the input, even if I don't agree with the advice, they've invested enough to be able to say their investment is a down payment on their opinion. This is an easy one. My mother and father,
Right.
They don't, and of course I say this with all respect, all honor, they don't do conferences the same size I do.
Right. Right.
So by virtue of that, there are some things that I'm a little more knowledgeable on in conferences.
Right.
But you better believe, anytime they want to have a sit down, hey, we think you should do this, we think you should do that, this is this, what do you think? Even if I don't agree, I will listen, because their investment demands their voice is heard. And I think that a lot of us as visionaries, we got people on our team because we think a team is the key, or we think a large team indicates success for whatever reason. So we got all these people, and we're trying to please people that ain't put no money up. And that's literally or metaphorically. You've got no skin in the game, no investment. What is your basis of credibility? I'm listening to you for what? That's my favorite.
So then, even for those, I'm take that question a little bit further. So you can distinguish between no investment and investment. But now, amongst those who are invested, your ride or die, the people who have been with you, and they make suggestions, and it still may not be what God is telling you to do.
Yeah.
How do you even know when those are good ideas or God ideas, or when their perhaps vision or ideas aren't aligned with what God is saying to you now, or where he wants to take you? So even amongst those who are invested, how do you say, I respectfully disagree?
You say it just like you did right now. I think the key is, we're talking about those that are really invested. Here's my thing. If you're really invested, then it's like Paul said, consider my manner of life. Consider what I've shown you already. You know, so I think that it's a thing. If they're really invested, and if they're in that key inner circle, you all ought to be able to disagree strongly. Almost not. I'll be very honest. In some of our YLC meetings, we would take a retreat every year and plan and all that. We had some knockdown drag outs. But I gave them room to do that, again, because of the investment. But at the end of the day, they gave me room to do whatever I decided we were gonna do, because of my history.
Right.
So, we don't think you should this. We don't think you should that. This doesn't seem like a good idea. But once we get down to, all right, y'all, I heard you. This is what we're going to do. Okay, well, let's do it. Because you're allowed to disagree. Right. You're not allowed to disobey.
Wow.
At a certain point, if you're only here because I do what you tell me, then this isn't my vision no more.
Right.
This is your vision. If you're
Right.
going to quit, take your bat and ball, go home because
Hmm.
we didn't do it your way, well, then maybe you need to start your own conference. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. I have to take the L if it doesn't work.
Right.
Nobody's going to say, hey, you know that thing that so-and-so volunteered for? It didn't work. No, because they don't know
Hmm.
your name. They know my name. My name is on the bottom of the contract.
Right.
For X number of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We got to pay this and da-da-da. So if it doesn't work, I'm the stakeholder. So it's important that you have people that are in your key positions that trust the God in you. So
Hmm.
even if, hey, you know what, I don't understand, but I know what happened last time you said God said. Last time you said God said it worked. So because I believe I'm assigned to you and I trust you, we have history together.
Hmm.
I'm gonna ride with you. That's
I
how
don't
that
want to.
goes.
I don't want to get you in trouble, and you may not be able to answer. Your eyebrows went up. I don't want, and you may not be able to discuss this because it's too fresh.
Okay.
But I think it's a leadership question. You made a decision to move your Sunday night from 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock, perhaps for the right reason. Summertime, people out and about. So you had the right, I guess, you had the right diagnosis, but perhaps the wrong remedy or prescription. So the diagnosis was, hey, people out and about, summertime, whatever, let's move it up. But then I think I've heard you say twice, uh, we would never do that again. So you hear your team,
Yes, sir.
you make a decision to make a change, but then you also quickly have to make a decision to say, well, that was the change in the wrong direction. What is that process like? I guess if you could share without sharing.
I can share with Sharon. It's no problem at all. I can't blame the team for this one, Bishop.
Mhm.
This was a I had a bright idea. I said, you know, people are, it's nice outside. People are
Uh,
out. 7 o'clock, they're out. They're going to movies. They're restaurants, whatever, whatever. We'll do 4 o'clock. So, they have their evenings. That was in-person thinking, not online thinking. Online
mhm,
thinking is they're at dinner or they're
mhm,
commuting or they're leaving church. We're global.
mhm,
So 4 o'clock Eastern is 1 o'clock in California.
mhm.
They're still in church, some of these people.
Right,
So it was just a thing of this. We tried it and we're never afraid to try. But we realized it's not working. There were
right.
people on the team where Aaron, they're not able to share because they're in services or
Uh-huh,
it's
uh-huh.
not working. So I
Right.
think it would be, and I'm going to use a strong word. It would just be stupid to continue to do something that you've had enough. I've got 4 weeks of
Mhm.
hard data. This does not work as well as it did before. So yeah, we need a different time. Instead of going earlier though, what happens if we push it back an hour?
Right.
And that's what we did, and it's working much better than the 4 o'clock was.
So was
But
this a
I think
time
it's
where your
just
team, where your team told you don't do it, or were they,
they didn't tell me not to do it. I think this is the thing I told them what I was gonna do,
okay,
and they said okay, and and I did it, and I did not like what I got. I told them again, we're gonna do something different. They said, yeah, that's a better idea. Okay, well let's do that. So
I was like, why
that's
did
what
not
we're
tell me this in the beginning? Because I was like, thank you,
right.
Jesus, when you went back to 8. I was like, man, okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll do what we
yeah.
can. All right, we got about 15 minutes. If you got a few more minutes, Elder, I don't want to infringe on your time.
As long as it's as long as this battery doesn't die,
Okay,
we're
all
good.
right. You mentioned earlier about being a fifth generation ministry. What is the blessing and the burden of legacy? I think you touched on the blessing in terms of those multi-generational relationships, those platforms that you stand on that were built by others. But I asked this also, your friend as well, Elder Tyson, what is
Mhm.
the burden of legacy?
Ooh, man. I'm glad you asked him because I know he gave an exceptional answer. I think that to answer that question as if the burden is singular
Hmm.
would be a disservice to the full weight of it because it's so many burdens. I consider legacy and managing legacy, Bishop, almost like a game of high stakes Jenga.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the wooden blocks,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the tower. I look at it as the longer this game goes, the easier it is
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
mess it all up.
Right.
I gotta write that down. That just
Right.
that
Right.
helped me.
Right.
That's the best way I can see it. When you're starting a legacy,
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing to ruin.
Right. Right.
I'm fifth generation. Go back 5 generations. Nobody been saved. Nobody came from
Mm-hmm.
holiness.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. There was
Mm-hmm.
no expectation.
Mm-hmm.
There was no history. You know, he did something. Ain't nobody done anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
In ministry.
Right. Absolutely.
So you got all the blocks. It's solid. It's stable. You can make some mistakes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. But the longer the game goes, the more fragile, the more frail. Because using that Jenga analogy, the longer it goes, the higher it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that gets higher becomes more visible.
Right.
And it's so much easier to mess it all up. And
Wow.
again, the longer it goes, if you knock the thing over, you're not knocking over what you did. You're knocking over what he did. You're knocking over what he did. You're knocking over what she did. You're knocking over everybody's work off of one wrong move. So it's pressure like I can't explain. Just to be very honest, this is Mental Mondays. It's tremendously taxing. It's scary. It's anxious. And then especially when you consider, talking about legacy, you've got to face challenges. And I wouldn't dare make it seem as if it was easier then. Not at all.
Right.
But it was
Right.
different.
Right.
It wasn't
Absolutely.
easy, but it was different. It was
Right.
different.
Right.
The world was smaller. The circle was smaller.
Mm-hmm.
The opposition was smaller.
Right.
Less people knew you, which means there are less people that hate you.
Right.
Think about that. Think about
Wow.
that. Less
Right.
people knew you. There are less people to love you. Yeah, but less people to hate you too. No internet. No live stream. No viral. There was a time, I'm certainly not, I'm using this example,
Mm-hmm.
certainly not justifying wrong, but there was a time you lived in I'm picking random places. You lived in Birmingham, Alabama, and you
Right.
messed up real bad.
Right.
You can get in your car, get in your station wagon, and move to
Mm-hmm.
another city and start over. Do you
Right.
realize we live in a generation where you can't actually truly start over? There's no clean slate. So
Wow.
all of these things intensify and make just the pressure greater. But the benefits,
Mm-hmm.
the pros, the knowledge, it takes a while to see it, Bishop,
Mm-hmm.
but it does balance.
Wow.
Yeah, the cost of a mistake now is so much greater, but I don't only have 5 generations of pressure, I've got 5 generations of wisdom.
Right. Right.
I've got 5 generations of insight, 5 generations of know-how. And so I think that if we keep that at the forefront, I think that's the best way to navigate that.
That's what I love and admire about you so much is with such a bright light on you in the social media era, you don't just preach integrity, you're a man of integrity. And my prayer always has been, God keep you from Delilah's, Jezebel's, Bathsheba's, and even Potiphar's wife.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you have one of these crazies that could easily say, "Oh, he's my husband. We engaged."
I want to tell you a story. I don't know who's watching. It's a fresh story.
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
what I just said, I'm not just making it up. It really does happen. Is that what you're saying?
That's literally what I'm saying. I don't see any harm in yeah. I'll speak generally, but I'm not fabricating. There are some, I'll say it again, that see you online and feel like they know you. We've had a situations where, we've gotten I mean, emails to the church and voicemails on the church machine and all of this. I'm one lady said I live, I don't even know where it was. It's somewhere I've never even been. And I'm calling the FBI because he's speaking to me through my computer, and he astral projects into my room, and he's spying on me at work, and I keep hearing his voice, and I mean all of this kind of crazy stuff. And yeah, it's a different day. I'll just say that.
And that's the stuff they don't see you preach through. And that's why I wanted to share, like, they see you preach and you stir the crowd and have a good church, but you may have just got one of those voicemails, text messages, inbox that just rattled you. And somehow
I'll tell you because this is Mantle Monday. We had a situation at one of our live services in the last month where someone came from out of town that I've never met. I didn't follow them on social media. I've had zero conversation. Again, to be clear, this is not somebody, well, we used to talk. We used to be friends. There's literally been no connection. And they were posting, they took pictures off of Instagram and like made collages and, side by sides. This is my king. And we're so happy together. I've never met you. And so some of the ministry team found out about it. And they reached out. Hey, sis, we know you love the ministry and all, but you should probably take this up. We don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. But no, anything that needs to be addressed between he and I, we will discuss together. I've never met you. We never talked at all. And showed up to the studio, and they they knew who they were because they opened their iPad to go to the Bible. They walked in while I'm up preaching, and they opened the iPad to the Bible, and their iPad screensaver is just my face all over it. It's like, this is kind of strange. And so when they, realized they were kind of being surveyed, then they go out and they get in their car and they block the driveway. It was a whole situation. Then we're like, how did they even get here? Well, they registered under a different name. They used my name, her first name, my last name. Whoa, so it's like, and so I'm up preaching and I get a note. Don't be alarmed, but what? Don't be, So
who's your Peter on the team that cuts the ears off? No,
it's a couple of them. I can't tell you who they are. They're there. They're there.
You got some Peters on the team.
They're there. They're there. But just stuff like that. It's like, ooh, this is.
That's demonic. Just mental. I mean, that's just so many layers. Wow. If you're watching, and if you've ever gleaned anything from this man of God, you owe it to God and to this man of God to keep him covered in prayer.
Please.
But this generation is so skeptical and cynical, fault-finding, critical. Anywhere he goes, anything he does, anything he preaches is subject to go viral. People now can doctor pictures. People can splice, a voice and create stuff. And so we have to keep him in prayer, not just for his reputation. We keep him in prayer for his mental, emotional, spiritual health, physical well-being, but also that these things do not drain his battery and gets him to a point where he says, you know what, man, I'm just going to go in obscurity.
Yeah.
And so we have to keep this man of God in prayer as he feeds us. The least we can do is pray for my wife. I appreciate that. She's already put on here. This interview has been a blessing to you. Elder Moore typically wants you to sow into YLC. But there have been times, and I'm glad when your birthday came out, you actually put your Cash App up. Because there were times when I felt led. I said, if I was an old deacon in the church, I would want to walk up to you, shake your hand, and just put some money in your hand.
Wow.
And I know you're a visionary, and whatever comes to you, ultimately going to go to, the conference and the things that you do. But there are times I wanted to touch your hand. And so
Yes.
tonight, many of you are Wild Seed contributors, Spirit and Truth contributors, or perhaps you're led to put something in his hand to say, I want to bless you personally. Now, what you choose to do with it, that's your prerogative, that's your business. But we want to sow into him and or the ministry. He has proven solid, good ground. And so his reputation speaks for itself, his integrity, his preaching, his visionary leadership,
Thank you.
what he speaks manifests. And so I want you to sow into him. I have other questions, but I think the conversation has somewhat shifted. In wrap up, Elder Moore, YOC 2022, tell us why we should be there.
You have to be there, if for no other reason. It's the last one. We're retiring YLC this year. It's going to take place. I have a big announcement coming in the next week or so. But I will say it's going to be at the very end of the year. I'll say that. And it's going to be the last dance, so to speak. We're sending it off right. And you need to be there. So stay tuned, stay close, stay connected. It's going to be special. And thank you, Bishop, so much for having me.
Do you have political aspirations?
It's funny you say that. No, but people keep. No, I'm being serious. I don't know why you asked that. You tell me offline, I guess. But the last few places I've gone, I've had prophetic voices, speak that, and I see you in this and all that. I have zero aspiration. If I'm not going to be president, I don't want to be nothing else, and I don't want to run for president. So no, but
it can't be harder than what you're doing now. This is training ground. You can handle all this.
I don't know if I received that, but people keep asking me about that, and I keep saying no. So I don't know what that's about, but amen.
Well, I mean, you had more presidential candidates at one forum than some of the town hall meetings and presidential debates of some of the major networks. You and the ones that didn't show up, they invited you to come to their different sessions and stuff like that. So, whether you just provide the platform to come or you become the person yourself, I think that God has graced you even for that arena. If you choose to go there and God leads you there.
Well, thank you. I feel like that would lock me in to where I couldn't do what I need to do.
Do it for one term. I mean, you ain't got to do it for life.
We'll talk. We'll see. You be the you move. Start an Atlanta location, and you become doing so. You can be my campaign manager. Yeah.
You ain't got to stay. You ain't got to stay forever. So wow, I'm going to end this interview here. I'm going to ask everyone once again to like, invite, share, tag. I had questions about bridging the gap between generations, and
this just means we have to do a part 2.
Right. Okay.
Let's do it.
I appreciate it. I honor you for that. Thank you so much. I know you're busy. I know you just landed. I know you haven't even checked in your hotel yet. I know you have a busy week, but you took time out to talk with me and to talk to those who are watching tonight. I typically end with a kind of an end of life question. You're in Atlanta. You're a CNN person. Decades from now, when CNN has breaking news to inform the public of your transition, how will you want them to describe you? How do you want your name to be remembered in the earth?
Wow. I want it to be said, in short, that he was a man that mattered. He mattered to his family. He mattered to his community. He mattered to his region, his state, his country. He mattered to the world. He mattered to the kingdom. I want it to be said that someone passed today who made the lives of everyone they encountered better. And as much as I want to hear, as much as I want them to say great things on CNN, as much as I want them to say great things on Fox News, as much as I want them to say great things on CNBC or TMZ, what I really want to be said on the day I transition is, well done, my good and faithful servant. If I can get there, if I can do that, it'll be a life well lived. Thank you so much, Bishop.
Thank you, Elder Moore, for your life and your ministry, for your pour, for your sacrifice, for everything you mean to me, my family, the kingdom. I'm going to do something I've never done. This is season 1, we had 24 episodes. Season 2, we had 12 episodes. I have always asked the guests to have final words and to pray for the viewers. Tonight, I'm led to flip it around. I want to pray for you, if you will allow. And
Absolutely.
Those of you that are watching, there's no way to unmute you and have you to come on. But if you're watching now, if you're watching the replay, if you're watching it on YLC or the podcast, I want you to touch and agree with me right now. If you're watching on television, you got your device in your hand, or you stretch your hand towards whatever screen you're watching on. I want us to touch and agree for this man of God. Father, it's in the name of Jesus. I thank you for Mark A. Moore Jr. I thank you for his life. I thank you for his ministry. I thank you for his sacrifice, his service. I thank you for his visionary leadership, his innovation. I thank you for his yes, when he could have easily said, no, not going to do it, can't do it, not even going to try. But God, I thank you for allowing him to blaze a trail. I thank you for undergirding him, even as he walks on water. God, I thank you for giving him strength, even as he builds the ark. God, I thank you for, even as David, you gave him the design and the layout for the temple. God, I ask you, whatever he needs, supply it. Whatever hinders him, remove the obstacle, remove the impediment. God, whatever health challenges that may be even in his bloodline, God, I pray for health, longevity, for strength. Oh God, make the journey easier, make the labor smoother, oh God. I pray, God, that you will be the wind beneath his wings, oh God, even as you take him to higher heights. Even when he feels like he can't go on, that the load is too heavy, the light is too bright, the critics are too loud. God, I ask you in the name of Jesus, God, that you will renew his strength, help him to mount up as wings as an eagle, run and not be weary, and walk and not faint. God, let his ladder be greater. God, more territory, more ministry, more souls, more messages, more opportunities. God, I ask you, oh God, to cover him, cover his name, cover his body, cover his ministry, cover his reputation, cover his legacy, even to the third and fourth generation after him, that what was started before he was even thought about will remain even after he's gone. God, I pray. You said in your word, some works will pass away in the fire because it's made of hay and stubble. But God, I pray that this man's work will continue to grow and expand, that it would increase, not just in this country, but even around the globe, even for generations yet to be born. God, I ask you, God, to cover him, protect him, and bless him and sustain him, and even help us that you've assigned to support him. Help us to be the resources that he needs. Help us to give him the wise counsel that he needs. Help us to give him the affirmation that he needs. Help us to give him the finances that he needs, that he can do whatever you have put in his charge and care to accomplish in the earth. But this is my prayer this night for this voice, this servant and man of God. Was in Jesus' name I pray. And all of God's people say, amen.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Love
Thank
you,
you.
man of God.
I honor you. I appreciate you. I love you too. Take care, Bishop.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for the season finale, season 2 of Mantle Mondays. This has been a great journey. This second season, what started out last year, is just a virtual book release for our second book, Wherever the Mantle Fall, a biblical and legal guide to succession planning. The goal was just to have a virtual book release, and it became a series, 24 episodes, year one. Thought we were done. God said, come back and do a second season, 12 episodes. We're looking forward to rebroadcasting this whole second season on the YLC TV network. And as we announced today, led by God, that we're also going to distribute the Mantle Mondays as a podcast through Spotify, Apple Play, Google, Amazon, all the podcast platforms. So if you're a podcast person and that's the way that you perhaps travel or exercise or get information, we invite you to look for us on those podcasts. And so tonight, I want to thank my wife, who has been the executive producer of every episode. She's behind the scenes. And so a lot of times you never get to see her, but she pulls it all together, the commercials, the comments, and making sure all the technology works. My children, they're also being trained to support. And we just thank God for the journey. We thank God for the connections. We thank God for the information and inspiration that has come through this Mantle Monday series. If it's been a blessing to you, we don't ask for anything financially, although there's cost in terms of sowing into our guests and distributing on other platforms. But if this ministry has been a blessing to you, we would just love in the comments or inboxes and say, we appreciate Mantle Mondays. We were blessed by this interview. That quote really resonated with me. That guest really resonated with me. We want you to do a third season if the Lord allows, and we want to hear from you. Sometimes we do, we don't know. There are people who watch and never say anything. That's fine, but we would love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this, you learned something from it. I don't come from a legacy of preachers, and so these questions are things that if I was in the office or perhaps able to ride in the car with them or take them out to lunch and just kind of pick their brain about ministry. That's kind of what this series is about. And so if you're an aspiring pastor, entrepreneur, author, leader, and want to get into the minds of some of the great leaders, pastors, entrepreneurs, creatives that the kingdom has to offer, we once again invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And once again, we thank God for you. And always remember, it's never too early to prepare for success. Good night and God bless.
Looking to start a church, business, or nonprofit organization in 2022? Do you need help forming an LLC, applying for a copyright or trademark, revising church laws, crafting a succession plan, or developing a compensation package for your pastor and staff? Contact the law office of Travell Travis, a Richmond-based legal boutique focused on the needs of pastors, entrepreneurs. If you're concerned about the future of your organization when you step down, then where will the man